MTNL and BSNL network, which is there in large parts of the country, that will be taken up under this in this year using the capital allocation of 50,000 plus crore, which has been made for BSNL. The revenue realization also in telecom is consistent. It's good growth. Telecom is today a sunrise industry, and this is reflected in the higher revenue realization which has been budgeted.
Yes, sir. So my question is on infrastructure, sir. FM announced there will be infrastructure directorate at the FM ministry. So how railway will leverage this directorate to attract private investment? Can you explain on that?
The Honorable Finance Minister had announced that a very integrated way of infrastructure development will be taken up, and that is part of the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan. Railway has already taken the first step in that. Railway has created Gati Shakti Directorate at the board level. बोर्ड में गति शक्ति डायरेक्टरेट करीब करीब 7-8-10 महीने पहले बना था. उससे बहुत बेनिफिट हुआ. 8 डिपार्टमेंट्स जो कि अलग अलग तरीके से किसी भी प्रोजेक्ट को प्रोसेस करते थे, अब वो सब एक ग्रुप में बैठते हैं और एक ही ग्रुप में बैठ के एक प्रोजेक्ट के जो डिफरेंट डायमेंशंस हैं उन सब डायमेंशंस को एक टीम में बैठ के करते हैं, और इसका रिजल्ट बहुत अच्छा हुआ है. जिन प्रोजेक्ट्स को, जिन सैंक्शंस को करने में कई बार वर्षों लग जाते थे, वो आज फ्यू वीक्स में या ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 1 से 1.5 महीने 2 महीने के अंदर अंदर अप्रूवल्स हो जाते हैं, सैंक्शन हो जाते हैं. और जो छोटे प्रोजेक्ट्स होते हैं उन सब में तो जहाँ पहले महीनों लगते थे वहाँ अब कुछ ही दिन में, 2-3 दिन में, 3 दिन में, 4 दिन में अप्रूवल हो जाते हैं. ये उसी प्रोसेस में अब उसी तरह का यूनिट फील्ड में भी बनाया गया है. हर एक डिवीजन में एक गति शक्ति यूनिट बनाया गया है. अब इस कॉन्सेप्ट को जोनल रेलवे में भी लिया जाएगा, जिसमें जोनल रेलवे में जो कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है उसको किस तरह से उसी के अंदर सिग्नलिंग हो, उसी में इलेक्ट्रिकल हो, उसी में ट्रैक हो, उसी में ब्रिज हो, जिससे कि एक कंसोलिडेटेड वे में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का डेवलपमेंट किया जा सके. और इसी फिलॉसफी को टेलीकॉम में भी लिया जा रहा है. टेलीकॉम में पीएम गति शक्ति राइट ऑफ वे पोर्टल लास्ट ईयर लॉन्च हुआ, जिसमें सारे के सारे राज्य सरकार, म्यूनिसिपल गवर्नमेंट्स, टेलीकॉम ऑपरेटर्स, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के डिफरेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स, वो सब के सब जुड़े, और उसका रिजल्ट भी आप सबके सामने है. जहाँ 220 दिन लगते थे पहले किसी ऑन एन एवरेज अप्रूवल के टावर के, अब 7 दिन लगते हैं ऑन एन एवरेज, और करीब 50-60-70% के आसपास तो ऐसे अप्रूवल है जो कि इंस्टेंटेनियस हो जाते हैं.
सर, हाय सर, अरुणदीप फ्रॉम द हिंदू. The National Data Governance Framework had a draft release last year in May, and it was announced today also in the Finance Minister's speech. Just 2 questions around that. One is, will the previous draft's inputs be considered and a direct implementation of the policy be done? That's question 1. Second question is, what is the thinking of the government around commercial data sets? You mentioned the example of climate, but private companies have been hesitant to share commercial data sets with startups, which has been one key focus of making non-personal data available to more and more startups and communities.
First of all, I would like to very categorically say that the National Data Governance Framework Policy relates to non-personal data available with the government. And these are non-personal data which is, for example, I gave one example of weather data, climate data. There could be another example like the statistical data available about various activities in the country. Let's say about projects. What is the progress of projects? Which are the projects which are affecting which particular sector, which particular region, which particular city? Then there is data about traffic. Then there are multiple such data sets which can be used to provide better service delivery to the citizens. That is the objective of the policy. Now, we wanted that there should be a clear personal data protection legislation in place by the time we announce this, actually implement the non-personal data governance framework. That is why now that the Digital Personal Data Protection Bill is already there, it has received very good feedback. Industry, all stakeholders have accepted it. Globally, I am hearing, for example, in Davos, some people actually said that India's data protection bill should now become the template, not the European GDPR. So that is the kind of response we are getting from all over the world. So with these two complementary structures in place, constructs in place, time to go forward. So that is why this has been announced to the government.
Hi sir, Prasad from Business Standard here. I have two questions. One, what is the railways looking at in terms of operating ratio, in terms of the revised estimates for this year and the budget estimates for the next year? And secondly, given the growth that has happened in railway revenue from the main stake, which is freight, the revised estimates from goods revenue look slightly conservative when you look at the kind of growth that has happened. And that may have also impacted the budget estimates that have been there for freight revenue. Given that it's the mainstay of railways and revenue is largely dependent on that, why are these estimates still largely conservative?
So estimates are very realistic is what I would like to say. They are neither conservative nor optimistic. They are very realistic. And why they are realistic? Because when we look at the all the 4 quarters, if we see, there are a couple of quarters, or rather 1 quarter and 1.5 quarters during the monsoon period, when the revenue dips, when lots of activities actually show a significant slowdown during that period. Then comes the again pick up the time frame when the economic activity starts picking up, and then during the last quarter, which is right now what we are in, January to March, lots of projects are commissioned. Lots of projects, and when a new project is getting commissioned, that is the time when the mobility in the network gets impacted adversely. So that's why we have taken a very conservative, I would say a very realistic viewpoint, and the revenue figures that we have put in the RE as well as the DE for next year are very realistic. Operating expenses have naturally increased, but we hope that we will be able to reduce the operating expenditure further in the coming year as the entire electrification process gets completed. And let's say within this section, electrification has happened for 3 parts of this section, 1 part is still not there, then it becomes very difficult to run a complete electric train throughout this section. But when all the 4 sections are complete, then you can run a
ABP Majha, उघडा डोळे बघा नीट.